Got to get it in. Does to Smith. Jabari for three and the win. Yeah! He got it.
We are here to Field Rocks News. This is Rocks Field Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Shar Binkley. I'm a credential writer covering the Houston Rockets for Rockets on that side, which is part of Sports Illustrated. And also, you can always find me on X at Binkley Hoops. And we are presented by the Believe Network and sponsored by Bet Online. And of course, today we're talking about the Houston Rockets, the second best team in the Western Conference. And for the last two games, they have proved that they are currently the second best team and at any time can beat any team in the NBA. And their latest win was over the Golden State Warriors, a team coming into the season that beat the Rockets 15 straight times, that terrorized them for years and years. And for the first time in several seasons, the Rockets have actually beaten them not once, but twice in the season, this time in Golden State, another place they hadn't won in several years. Actually, it was a stat somebody put out saying that the Rockets hadn't beat Steph Curry since he was 30. He is now 37 in Golden State. So that was definitely another accomplishment for the Houston Rockets. They are now firmly in that number 2 seed. They are one win away from clinching the top 2 seed. They've already clinched home court advantage in the first round. No matter what happens for the rest of the season, they can't fall any lower than number 3 seed. Either they have a win or a Lakers loss, and they will clinch that number 2 overall seed and have home court advantage in the Western Conference playoffs over everybody except for the Oklahoma City Thunder, of course. And on today's show, I wanted to talk about 3 reasons why the Rockets were able to knock off the Golden State Warriors. Because going into this game, going into the Oklahoma City game for that matter, a lot of people didn't give the Rockets much of a chance. Like I said, for most of the season, people have been doubting the Houston Rockets. They have been saying things like Brian Windhorst said that Golden State is the real number 2 seed. You heard fans and experts around the NBA saying that what one team you would like to face in the first round would be the Houston Rockets. So the Rockets haven't been getting a lot of respect and kind of remind me of the Houston Cougars, by the way. Congratulations to them. They're playing tonight in the championship game against Florida at 7:50. But kind of remind me of something Kelvin Sampson said, that everybody was talking about Duke this, Duke that, but don't forget about Houston. And it's so funny, the similarity between the Houston Rockets and Houston Cougars. Both are built on defense, crashing the boards, hard-nosed head coaches, and maybe players that a lot of people around the league may not know a lot about, but players that continuously play hard every single game. And that's why the Cougars are in the championship game, and that's why the Rockets are going to the playoffs for the first time since 2020. And not just going to the playoffs, but the number 2 seed in the toughest conference in the last several years. There's still a lot to be figured out behind the Rockets as far as who the Rockets will be playing in the playoffs. As right now, the Rockets will be playing either Minnesota or Memphis, depending on who wins that play-in game. But of course, that can change because there's 3 or 4 teams that all have 32 losses. So a lot still to be decided in the last week of the NBA season. But in today's show, I just wanted to talk about the 3 reasons why I believe the Rockets won the game against Golden State. And I want to start with Ime Udoka. And the reason I'm starting with Ime Udoka is because I know a lot of people have given him some trouble over some of his rotations, and sometimes him favoring other players and benching certain players. But when it comes down to, the Rockets would not be where they are without Ime Udoka. And last night was kind of a masterclass. That and the Oklahoma City game was kind of a masterclass on how you coach a team, how you take out a star player so that you can win a game. One of the guys I'm going to talk about a little bit later, and one of my reasons had a lot to do with this, but it was also the way the Rockets were able to not only shut down Steph Curry, and more on that a little bit later, but just the way they were able to force other guys to beat them. When the Rockets were in the double big lineup, they made sure to really only do that when Steph Curry was off the court, because he realized that a lot of other guys on Golden State, this is not your father's Golden State Warriors team. They have a lot of guys that aren't really great shooters. Moses Moody has been having a on and off again year. Buddy Hield, same thing, on and off year. We know Draymond can't shoot to save his life. Klay Thompson's not there anymore. The Rockets forced Gary Payton Jr. to try to beat them. He made a couple of threes, but at the end of the day, I'm going to take Gary Payton Jr. taking 20 wide open threes instead of Steph Curry taking 20 or 5 contested threes. I would take that any day of the week. So that's what the Rockets did. They forced Golden State into bad matchups on the offensive end and forced them on defense. When the Rockets on defense, they forced them people outside of Curry to make shots. And he blended it perfectly. He didn't, have the double big line unnecessarily out there a lot when Steph was out there because he wanted to be able to switch. And then as soon as Steph went to the bench, bam, here comes Steven Adams. And that double big line did what it's done most of the season. That's dominate inside the paint and made it easier for players like Alperen Sengun, of course, as we've talked about many times what the double big line does. It makes it easier for Sengun because he's facing off against smaller defenders. And, of course, we saw throughout the game Draymond Green with his normal antics trying to get under the skin of players like Alperen Sengun. And unlike in the past, those antics didn't work against the Rockets. The Rockets didn't fold. The Rockets didn't fall for it. All Alperen Sengun did was the very next play after getting elbowed and then after getting push for no reason and Draymond getting a technical, all Alperen Sengun did was take it to the basket and one and yelled out loudly towards Draymond and the entire Golden State team. So this is definitely a different type of Rockets team, and one of the main reasons why they're a different Rockets team is because they take on the persona of Ime Udoka, who doesn't back down to anybody, doesn't back down to players. He got in a back and forth this time with Steph. He's gotten in back and forth, of course, we know, with LeBron, and they take on that image of Ime every single game. And you even see with Alpy, and then you saw him in his interviews this game and the last game, he's saying that he goes into these games pissed off now, and he tries to make sure that the rest of his teammates are pissed off. And that absolutely comes from Ime Udoka, who has done a masterful job. Like I say, he did the same thing against SGA. I asked him before last game, like, do you focus on players like SGA who get to the line a lot, and do you talk to your players about that? He said, yeah, absolutely we do. We make sure that they know that players like that try to bait you in the fouls, and you have to play discipline against them, because if not, they're going to be at the foul line all night, and that's exactly what they did against SGA. He only had 2 free throws. The entire game was tied for his lowest of his entire season. They only made one of them, which was actually a season low for him, which meant that they were able to control him throughout the game, and he only scored 12 points after that 10-point first quarter and only finished with 22 points in the game, and the Rockets blew the Thunder out. Same thing today. Shut down Curry. Rockets, even though Golden State did get close in that fourth quarter, the Rockets stepped up, and the reason why they were able to hold them off was my number 2 reason why the Rockets were able to come away to win. Is Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green. Just like against Oklahoma City, they both had 30-plus points. They were able to shut the door in the fourth quarter. Same thing happened tonight. Even though both of them didn't have the same efficiency they had against Oklahoma City, they still made the big plays in the fourth quarter. And Sengun finished with 19 points, 14 rebounds. And like I said, did not back down at all from Draymond Green. Jalen Green also finished with a great game. He was 9 of 19 from the field, made a couple of huge shots in the fourth quarter when Golden State was trying to make that run. And when they're dominating like they are, where they are taking control of the game, and they don't have to depend on players like Fred VanVleet, he can take a step back, that's when the Rockets are at their most dangerous. And that team right there, when those two guys are clicking together, that is when you start to see, okay, this team can actually win in the playoff, because they already got the defense, they already got the rebounding, they already got the coach that has the playoff experience, the championship, getting to the championship experience. You already have the veterans that have the deep playoff experience. When those two guys are the key. If they can play like this in the playoffs, the Rockets, as you saw, pretty much all season, they're the only team to beat Cleveland and Oklahoma City twice. As you see, when those two guys are clicking, the Rockets can beat anybody in the NBA, including the Oklahoma City Thunder, including the Golden State team that had dominated them for years and years and years, and just pretty much have been dancing all over the Rockets' graves for several years now. They can beat anybody, and we've seen that again 2 games in a row, really all season, because Jalen is his most consistent season of his entire career. But definitely these last 2 games against 2 top-notch teams, and yeah, Golden State it's like a 5th or 6th seed, but they've been one of the best teams since Jimmy Butler came over. They had like a 19-2, some ridiculous record that since Jimmy Butler came over. So don't get it wrong. Golden State has been one of the best teams in the last 2 months, especially since the trade they made for Jimmy Butler. So the Rockets just went in, took control of both of those games. Neither one of those wins were flukes, and it's really comes down to Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun controlling the game from the inside and controlling the game from the outside. That is ideal for the Houston Rockets. If they can get that type of play in the playoffs, watch out. I mean, it's really no limit to what the Rockets can do. Rockets went from beginning of the season to people thinking they were just going to be a play-in team. to people thinking, oh, okay, well, they're a nice little team. Maybe they can finish top 6. And then as the season went on, maybe top 4. Now they're going to probably be top 2. And people were like, well, then they're going to get knocked out in the first round. But these two guys continue to play like that. I would not be surprised at all if you see the Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. Just keep that in mind, and you can bookmark that if you want to. But that's how well these two guys have been playing all season, especially in these last 2 games. And then the third and final reason I want to talk about, I can't go on this podcast and not talk about Amenthompson and his defense. Of course, he had a great game overall: 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. I think he had 3 steals. He even had 1 or 2 blocks. He pretty much did every single thing out on the court. And even though, yes, he wasn't guarding Steph Curry the entire game, and you know why? Because Golden State was so worried about him guarding him. They did everything they can to get him off of Steph Curry. They set every screen in the book to try to get him off of Steph Curry. But it's not just the shots that Steph Curry missed. It's the shots that Steph Curry couldn't get at all. I think that's where people are mistaking. Well, they say, oh, well, he wasn't guarding him the entire game, so you can't really say he shut him down. You have to look at the entire game. It's not just the shots that Steph Curry, 1 of 10, by the way, and the one that he hit was at the very end of the first half, and it was kind of a heave at the end of the first half. It's the shots that he's not able to get up because Thompson is basically in his hip pocket the entire game, and that stuff wears on you. I don't care how great of a player you are. Don't get me wrong, Steph Curry's a great player. As much as over the years I really did not like Steph Curry, he's a great player. But if you're able to be in their pocket all game long, you're 6'7", you can jump over you can jump over anybody in the league, and you're just as fast as they are on top of that, that will frustrate anybody. We've seen that. We've seen that when he's guarding John Moran. We've seen that when he's guarding Tyler Hero. We've seen him when he's guarding SGA last game. He was a big reason why SGA only scored 12 points the last 3 quarters. And another thing that people don't realize in last game, SGA went almost 15 minutes without even taking a shot. That's because Thompson was up on him every single play. Same thing happened in this game. And yes, he wasn't on him for all 10 shots that he took last game, but he prevented him from getting a lot of other easy shots that people may not pay much attention to. A lot of people have not been talking about Thompson as far as being in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. He absolutely is a top 3 candidate. And to me, he should be a top 2 candidate. Maybe he won't win this year, but he definitely should be mentioned because the Rockets are a top 3 defense. He's their best defensive player. A lot of people overuse the phrase he can guard 1 through 5. Thompson can legitimately guard 1 through 5, and it's not a mismatch at any point. Now, of course, you won't have him on Jokic for an entire game, but he's still, at the end of the day, he can guard anybody, and it's never going to be like, oh, God, it's a mismatch. You better go help him with a double team. You never have that problem with Thompson. He is taking over as the lead defender on a top 2 or 3 defense in the NBA. He should absolutely be on the list for Defensive Players of the Year. That's my 3 reasons why I think the Rockets knocked off Golden State. Of course, we appreciate the support. If you haven't liked this video, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. You see, we do every little bit of everything on this channel, not just podcasts. So definitely go ahead and subscribe. We're going to have a lot of big things coming up for the playoffs. Yes, I did say playoffs. It's been a long time since we said that. I will be at every single home playoff game, bringing you the pre and post and everything in between. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as usual, we appreciate the support. And make sure you check out the next episode of Rocket Fuel Podcast.